So when it comes to that, how do you get people out of their head of thinking it's about them and remind them it's about the customer they're actually trying to help? Because I think that's where the value disconnect comes in, because people are thinking, well, this is my idea. I put so much into it. And they're so busy thinking about what they put into it, they forgot who they were trying to do it for.
The true value or success of a business is not about how much money you're making.
Mhm.
It's about how many people you're serving,
Yeah.
because the money is just a side effect.
Mhm.
So the money that you make is directly correlated to the amount of businesses that you have changed. And this is something fundamentally that Nancy and I focus on, because we always remind people that we would not be in business if people were not getting results. And that's the truth. And our business is growing every year because we continue to get people results. We continue to have people refer others to us. Now, in the very beginning, it's hard to understand that, because you're at a stage in business where you're just looking to generate revenue. You're just looking to be cash positive. So it may be challenging to look at business through that lens.
Mhm.
And it took me a while to do so, because you're so focused on, proving your concept, working with as many people as possible, whether they're a good fit or not, and just having some sort of sustainable revenue coming in,
Mhm.
that you sometimes can lose focus on exactly why you're doing what you're doing. And sometimes it's best to take a pause and take a step back and realize the most successful people out there, the most successful brands and businesses, are the ones that have built the most know, like, and trust, where everything that they do is for the person that they're working with. And I had this conversation with a client earlier today, and I said, could we be charging more for everything that we do? Absolutely. But Nancy and I are so ROI focused, meaning when someone comes into either working in her agency or hiring me one to one or joining our mastermind or joining our community, we want the price to be so right and such a good fit for that individual that when they think about it, it's only going to take X amount of clients or X amount of sales to make this a positive ROI, it becomes a no brainer.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of people out there that, outprice themselves because they feel that the higher the price point, the better the offer is. And sometimes
Yeah.
people fall for that tactic. Now, I don't want to say we're on the inexpensive side. We are on the investment side of things, where it is an investment. You know, it's an investment going in, and you need to treat it like one and not like an expense. So this kind of goes back to that desperation person,
Mhm.
right? So we've had people that want to join our program, and they're like, well, I need to start having sales right away. And we turn those people away, because we know if we want to deliver the best experience for them, if we want to get them the best results, they're going to have to go into this with the same mentality that we do. And both myself and Nancy and the other individual have to bring something to the table.
Mhm.
What we have to bring to the table is the coaching, the tool, the strategy that that person needs so they can deploy and get to where they want to be in their business. What that person working with us is bringing to the table is taking action.
Yeah.
As long as they take action on what we are suggesting to do, they are going to see a result. And too many people fall into this trap of really just looking for the next sale. And
Mhm.
to your point, people can smell desperation from a mile away. And this is very clear and apparent on LinkedIn. People can tell if you actually care about helping them succeed.
Yeah.
So if you're connecting with someone on LinkedIn, or they're connecting with you, and in the note of that connection request, they're just selling and pitching you off the bat. Hey, could you use an extra $10,000 to $20,000 a month
Mhm.
in your business? Book
Mhm.
a call here and I can tell you more how. You have no idea who I am. You have no
Yeah.
idea what I do, and you have no idea about my business. So how can you make such a blatant lie of a claim that you can help me generate 10 to 20,000 extra dollars a month when we've never spoken before? So as long as you check your ego at the door, because that's your greatest overhead in
Yeah.
business. If you let your ego get the best of you, you are destined for failure because people can feel ego. They can feel that all you care about is getting their credit card. And I let people close themselves. I don't have to close people anymore. I just ask the
Mm,
right questions that makes them confident in saying, you know what? I'm ready to join. What's our next step?
right.
And that's the best approach to have.
I'm in agreement pretty much across the board. I think it's something where one, I'll work backwards. I think a proper sale is something that is a foregone conclusion so that I didn't have to sell it. I think when you focus on the customer experience, that is what makes it easier for someone to not feel like they're being sold. I had a negotiator come on and we talked about the difference between persuasion and influence. Persuasion is that 80s and 90s tactic of I can help you make this much money when you don't know anything about my business. So you're trying to persuade me into getting on a call and because you're throwing a number out that seems like something that I would love to be able to make. Influence is being able to give someone some answers so that they can actually see the progress and things that they can achieve. And then once they believe it takes it from being possible to being plausible, then people are willing to have that actual conversation. So yes, on that as well. I would say with the no like trust, I'm actually going to say that there are two stages that I look at. There's the stage before that because some people don't even believe it's possible, and sometimes you have to plant the seed of this is possible so that they know that it is something that they can actually achieve. And I think the people that are really good at that part will start to be able to have that conversation. So it's not just they know, it's not just the audience knowing who they are. It's important for the person to know that it's something that's possible because possible gives birth to it being plausible. And then that's where it goes into where I call it like the four C's: clarity, competence, confidence, and then consistency. So first you have to have the clarity of this is possible and you need to believe that you can do it because if you don't believe you can do it, this is why I have an appreciation for you talking about 12 months. If you're committed to saying that you're going to do something for 12 months, that is more than enough time for you to be able to figure out if it's something that you're actually supposed to be doing and make tweaks along the way to be able to get to where you're actually supposed to be doing it and doing it in a way that's going to get you the results. If you're doing something where you're saying, well, and I'm going to give myself a quarter, you may see some progress, but it could just like that's the thing with understanding the customer journey and understanding your business journey. There are sometimes people have a good quarter. Like it could just be that time of the year. I'll explain to people, I'll say, if you have a business that requires people to be in the house, then you probably do well in fall and winter. If you have something where it requires people to be out of the house, then you probably do better in spring and summer. If you're not looking at things like that and you're going, well, I had a great spring, I had a great summer, and then WinterCon comes around and you're selling something where people have to be outside. I'm on the West Coast. It's cold. Don't sell me about being outside if it's cold. I don't want to be out in the snow. I don't want to go through all the rest of that. So you have to understand your business. You have to understand your audience, and you have to make sure that you're conveying what you need to be able to convey. But it also goes back to what you were saying of you have to be able to plan these things out and be intentional. If you know that there's a slow period, what I tell people is use that slow period to cover that no like. So by the time you get through the no like trust and it gets back to picking up, then you've already done the heavy lifting. If it's 11 touch points, use that time to be able to cover the 11 touch points. So by the time it comes to actually selling them on something, you've given them all the information, all insights. You've taken them from this is not only something that you can do, this is something that you can most likely achieve. And then by then you're like, okay, you built up their confidence. They start to create the thought in their mind where they can say, you know what, this is not only something I can do, but I believe I can do it, and I believe you're the right person to be able to help me get there.